Let's see the Indian national movement second phase. The first event was the starting of Gandhian era. Second, the Rowlatt Act and the Satyagraha. Third, Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Fourth, the Khilafat and the non-cooperation movement. Fifth, formation of Swaraj Party. Sixth, Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangha (RSS) was formed in the mid of 1920. Seventh, Hindu Socialist and formation of Republican Association by Bhagat Singh, Rajguru Sukhdev. Eighth, Civil Disobedient Movement. Ninth, Dandi March. 10th, Government of India Act 1935. 11th, Quit India Movement. And 12th, the Indian National Army called INA. And the last one was the Mountbatten Plan. The second phase of Indian national movement is marked by the entry of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi on the political scenario of India. Having worked as a lawyer in South Africa for the 20 years, he fought against the racial discrimination meted out the Indian there. Gandhiji evolved the technique of the civil disobedience or the passing struggle, which he termed as a satyagraha. Success in South Africa promoted the Gandhiji to make an attempt to free his country from the British rule. It was with the intention that he came to India in 1915. He spent a year traveling in and understanding the problem of the people throughout India. Gandhiji was involved in local movement for the peasants of Champaran and Kheda. He also led a successful campaign for the industrial workers of Ahmedabad against the mill owner for whom they worked. Gandhiji participation in the in this moment helped him to gain a strong foothold among the political workers as well as the people of India, where the people of India was thinking that this person can do something in future. Next, we'll see about the Rowlatt Act and the Satyagraha. The Rowlatt Act of 1990 promoted Gandhiji to call for a nationwide protest against this act. This act curtailed the basic fundamental rights such as freedom of speech and expression. The act also allowed the government to arrest anyone it deemed suspicious and imprison anyone without a trial. The political leaders criticized the act and called it as a black act. Gandhiji organized Satyagraha Sabha and urged the people to protest non-violently against this act. The Satyagraha against the Rowlatt Act was the first all India against the British. Through the participation were mainly from town and cities. Next is Jallianwala Bagh massacre, the important event which turned the thinking about the Indian people completely changed towards the British. We can see this image where you can observe what was the intention, how was the condition of people over there. Protests and allegations carried out throughout the country against the Rowlatt Act was suppressed by the British government. One such meeting was to be held in Amritsar on 13 April 1919 at Jallianwala Bagh. Around 10,000 people had gathered in the Bagh, which had a narrow exit. Brigadier General Dyer ordered his troops to fire the unarmed crowd. Throughout the official report claimed around 379 people died and 1,200 people were injured. The actual number are believed to be much more. The brutal force was used by the British at Jallianwala Bagh had stunned the nation, and the Gandhiji called off the Satyagraha on 18 April 1919. Rabindranath Tagore, he was a famous poet and writer, renounced his knighthood in the protest of the Jallianwala Bagh massacre Khilafat movement. Having called off the Satyagraha after the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, Gandhiji was looking for an opportunity to start a movement that would involve the Hindus as well as Muslims. Opportunity stuck in front of the Khilafat issue. The British imposed a harsh treaty on the Turkey after the First World War, and the Caliph was not allowed to exercise his power over the holy place in the erstwhile Ottoman Empire. The Indian Muslims were upset as they regarded as the Caliphate of Turkey was the religious head. Gandhiji suggested a non-cooperation movement to the Khilafat Committee. In June 1920, Gandhiji was asked by the Khilafat Committee to lead the non-cooperation movement. This movement was come to be known as the Khilafat movement. In the meantime, the Central Khilafat Committee met with the Hindu leaders such as Gandhiji, Motilal Nehru, Lala Lajpat Rai, etc., and urged them and joined the support of non-cooperation movement. The non-cooperation movement was formally launched on the August 1st, 1920 by Mahatma Gandhi. There are some features are as follows. The first, people boycott and burn the foreign cloth in many cities and towns. Many lawyers such as C.R. Bose, Motilal Nehru, Vallabhbhai Patel gave up their law practice. Thousands of students left foreign schools and colleges and they took admission into the Indian colleges and schools. Picketing of shops that sold foreign cloth was common feature. On the suggestion of Mahatma Gandhi, people started using charkha and the khadi cloth. People resigned uh, from government jobs and committees. Non-violent hartals and processions were carried throughout the country. The British government repressed the movement by putting restrictions on public meetings and assemblies, newspaper, and arresting people on large scale, including the political leaders. This by this one, British were thinking that they suppressed this movement, but it was against the revolt. There are some important events between 1922 to 1929, where the non-cooperation movement was at peak. On February 5, 1922, the incidents of Chori Chora promoted Gandhiji to call off the non-cooperation movement. Some people in Chori Chora had tussle with the police. When the people went to the complaint, they were misshelled and police fired at the people. One of the ammunition was over. The enraged people lit the fire station, which resulted in the death of 22 policemen. Gandhiji was very disturbed with the whole incident and decided to call off the non-cooperation movement. As this incident did not follow his ideal of non-violence. The follower of non the After that, some leaders, Congress leaders such as C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru suggested that they should take part in election and legislative council and enter them into the influence of the policies of the government. They called this program either mending or ending. They formed a Congress Khilafat Swaraj Party, which is later known as the Swaraj Party. The formation of Communist Party of India and Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangha (RSS) was a significant development in the mid of 1920. The another important feature of 1920 was the boycott of Simon Commission, which one which was seen to make change to the structure of Indian government. As the commission did not include any Indian and was not ready to accept the demand of Purna Swaraj, Indian boycott the commission and posters of Simon Go Back were seen in many places. The Simon Commission was greeted with the hartals and protests were held throughout the country. Lala Lajpat Rai, the one of the famous leader, succumbed the injuries during the Lathi charge and died on 17 November 1928. Another major event of 1920 was the exemption of the Purna Swaraj or complete independence as a goal of Congress at the December 1928 session of the Congress. The arrival of Bhagat Singh and other assertive nationalists within the political scenario was a spark in the otherwise stagnant phase of the Indian national struggle. Many young people who were the part of the freedom struggle began to question strategy of the non-violence. They believed that violence was the only way to free the India from the British control. Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad, Rajguru, Sukhdev, Surya Sen, Jatin Das, etc. were some of the famous revolutionaries of that time. They formed an association called Hindustan Socialist Republic Association.